Welcome to Perspectives in Mobile, the news podcast from the Mobile Ecosystem Forum. Join us discussing the world of telecommunications, technology, and mobile innovations. From Florence, Ricardo Amati.
Welcome to a new episode of MEF podcast series Perspectives, in which experts, opinion leaders, and industry leaders talk about what they think, see, and expect in the world of technology, telecommunications, and innovative mobile services. I am Ricardo Amati. In today's rapidly evolving technological landscape, artificial intelligence stands at the forefront of innovation, shaping everything from healthcare to finance and transforming the way we live, work, and interact with the world. As AI continues to advance, its impact on society becomes increasingly profound, raising important questions about ethics, security, and the future of human-AI collaboration. To delve deeper into these pressing issues and explore the cutting-edge developments in AI, we are joined by Peter Morgan, a leading authority in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Hi, thanks for having me, Ricardo. Happy to be here.
With an impressive background in the design and delivery of AI solutions in multiple sectors, Peter is the founder and CEO of Deep Learning Partnership, specializing in large language models organization and generative AI, with additional consulting in quantum technologies. Prior to this, he implemented Internet Protocol networks for Cisco, IBM, and BT. It brings a lot of insights into the challenges and opportunity presented by AI. So, Peter, can you tell us, just in a few words, really, about your background, first of all, and how you get into the field of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I started off doing a PhD in physics way back when, and I have this curiosity about how nature works, basically. So that sort of brought me to a point, but that I realized I didn't perhaps want to stay in academia at that point. So I left to start my own company, a record company, in fact, something completely different, right? That was the entrepreneurial side of me too. So I kind of have this combination of science and
because you're kind of a serial entrepreneur, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. I've had businesses in many different sectors. AI is my latest and possibly my last because it is a big wave. So let me just tell you how I got into AI. So I did this record company and sort of broke even, and then I decided, as having a family, I thought, right, I might have to get a real job and then a real income. So I went into service provider telecom for just over 10 years. That's where I worked at Cisco and BT and IBM, companies like that, designing and implementing large-scale enterprise networks. So that was kind of the technology, engineering, learned about protocol stacks and how computing works and everything. And that was pretty fascinating, but the sort of dot-com bubble burst and things quieted down a bit. So I actually took the opportunity. I went back into physics for 3 years. So I was a research associate at this experiment to measure the mass of the neutrinos. So I kind of first love is particle physics, right? And then after 3 years, that was it was just nice to go back and see what academia was like. It wasn't quite the same as when I was younger, but it was good just to work on an international collaboration there and led by Stanford. So when I finished that, right, I was like, okay, what the heck do I do now? I have this telecom background. I like science, so I thought, I'll become a data scientist because that was just becoming a thing in 2012. I think Davenport had just written an article in the Harvard Business Review about data scientists as the sexiest job of the 21st century, right? So I did actually become a data scientist. Then in 2016, I started my own company called Deep Learning Partnership, an AI consulting company. And it wasn't really called AI back then. It was more machine learning, deep learning, hence the name Deep Learning Partnership. But really, I got fascinated by what AI is, what intelligence is, and the fact that we're getting close to understanding what it is and building it on computer systems. So I really haven't looked back from that point, Ricardo.
What are the most exciting developments in AI that you're seeing? I mean, if you had to choose one.
I think it's these large language models, the fact that as they scale, properties emerge. So scale is all you need, right? And I kind of am quite a strong proponent of that, although, you know, a lot of people are not. But I really think if you look at biology, a mouse compared to, or even start with a fly compared to a mouse, compared to a cat, compared to a monkey, compared to a human, it's actually scale, right? We just simply have more neurons. Okay, the actual connectivity is very similar, and so as these deep learning networks scale, these large language models are up to 2 trillion now. There's 100 trillion synapses in the human brain, so say another order of magnitude. I think we will start to see uh, properties like sentience emerge, and that's controversial, but I don't care because I've been in the field 11 years, and that's what I believe.
Yeah, how would you describe the current state of artificial intelligence? What stage are we?
Yeah, so at the large language model, about 2 trillion parameters, they're non-sentient, but we don't even need sentience to actually solve most of the problems that are important to us, like climate change and curing cancer and all of that. That we just need neural networks that can learn from all of the data we throw at it, all the research that's been done previously, and that will actually solve, that will give us better batteries, better, more efficient solar panels, and understanding of molecular dynamics, so we can AlphaFold 3 is a nice example of that. So really, the state of the art is in these big models scaling further and further. And there's also an open source movement now with smaller models, which are quite capable, but not quite as capable as the large models.
How far have you come? For example, let's talk about intelligence in general. Not general
Yeah,
intelligence, but intelligence in general, the human intelligence. If
yeah.
you could give us metrics, more or less, if possible, about what part of the artificial intelligence can cover of, for example, musical intelligence.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get what you're saying there. So the goal since the 1950 was to build artificial general intelligence, right? So they started off and then they realized was that they hit all these walls. They basically just did not have the compute, right? There's no NVIDIA GPUs around back then. And the brain has a lot of compute, even though it's analog, neuromorphic, kind of, spiky neural networks. Even in digital, you still need, the horsepower. So it sort of went into narrow AI, and so now we've got enough compute with the H100s, the Blackwells coming online there, that we can actually start going back to the original mission, which was to build artificial general intelligence, which, as you said, includes creativity, musical ability, writing, art, philosophy, medicine, you name it, even movement, robots moving around in their environment. So we're actually at the point of solving for general intelligence. So this is probably the most exciting time in human history for sure. For me, I can't see any other. The Industrial Revolution would have been exciting, but to solve intelligence, I think, is even more exciting.
And what are your thoughts about on the potential for AI to reach or surpass human level intelligence? Because big controversy is about that. At the end of the day, the big question
Yeah.
mark. That's one.
Yeah, definitely. So we definitely beat human level intelligence in a lot of things now. So obviously, calculators could multiply two large numbers and divide much better than we could. So we have to have a little humility when we think about, what digital computing can already do. And so some could argue that ChatGPT is as good, if not better, at language than most people. Okay, so it's kind of a lot of it's kind of even hard to say it out loud, but um, on a sort of quantitative benchmarks, these things are scoring higher in general knowledge, in medicine, in all sorts of tests now, even reasoning tests and mathematical tests than humans. So in many ways, these large language models are super intelligent already, i.e., above human level intelligence. We have a little ways to go in reasoning, but I think even within a year, we may be there with agentic systems. So having a group of agents which can know and understand what they don't know and know where to get that information and bring it back. So I think we're right on the cusp of solving general intelligence, Ricardo.
Uh, okay, so you are sure we can really build general intelligence and creativity, artificial ones?
Yeah, creativity. That was almost the first milestone to go because we had DALI and Imagine from Google, DALI from OpenAI. Those things could create images, and now we've got Sora and the Google one, and they're creating like 60-second videos now, and then they can create text. ChatGPT obviously was proof point of that, and all the others that have come since. So what have we got? We've got tech. They can do language. They can write code. They can produce images. They can produce videos now, albeit short ones. It's just a matter of scale. Again, hardware probably scaling that up. And so really, we're sort of superseded in all areas of human level. So what's going to happen, right? Well, obviously that's going to increase productivity in businesses a lot. But yeah, I think we've solved creativity, and that's again, it feels a bit strange to say that, but I mean the evidence speaks for itself.
What's your take on the social aspect? Give you an example, like journalistic job, my job, right? For building, let's say, a bulletin, right? We need now 2-3 people when we needed 10. Like 10 years ago, because of research done by AI and and this kind of stuff. So that's a big problem. You say that increases productivity, but a lot of jobs are going to change at least.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, agreed, Ricardo. It's inevitable, right? And people have been predicting this for a long time now. But the average person, they haven't been reading all of these. They haven't been in the machine learning community, so they haven't even been thinking about these things. But suddenly it's here, right? With the release of ChatGPT, November 2022, almost a big bang moment for artificial intelligence. In some sense, we've had a lot of milestones along the way, but that was the one that woke everybody up because there were 100 million downloads in 2 months. It's the fastest downloaded app at that point in history, and so suddenly the public consciousness became aware, right? Awareness in the public consciousness was there, and it will never go back, right? So everyone's now worrying about losing jobs, but people have been thinking about this for decades, right? And so, okay, jobs are going to be lost. So how are we going to manage that as a society, right? So the government is going to have to step up and make sure that people have the basic necessities covered, not today, right, but over the next 5 to 6 years, as these models keep getting more and more powerful and displacing more and more jobs, then we'll become much more productive. So the upside is like, this is kind of what could be utopia, because now intelligent machines are doing all the white collar work, right? And then the robots will come along and do the blue collar work in the next decade for sure. And so, it's like, great. So now we get to not have to go sit into cubicles, which 90% of the people do, and jobs they're not really, they didn't dream about as children doing, right? 10% of people are very lucky and they run their own companies and do exactly what they like. Maybe they're scientists or writers or something, or artists. But a lot of people are doing jobs that they'll be like, it's so good that a machine can do as long as I can afford to go on holidays and feed my family, etc., etc. So this is called the fourth industrial revolution, Ricardo. It's the biggest one of all. It's going to be super disruptive. Make no mistake about that.
It's a revolution. Every revolution changes rules. Okay, and let's take a particular aspect. Let's talk about machine learning. What rules is machine learning changing?
Yeah, so that's a great point, because up until now, these digital computers have been running on what they call symbolic reasoning. It's kind of if-then statements, and they're sort of very deterministic. If such and such a condition is met, then do this, right? Machine learning is almost the opposite. It's how we learn. We just basically take in a lot of information, a lot of data through our 5 senses, process it, make sense of it, and then do something, take some action, whether it's tapping on the keyboard, writing a sentence, drawing a picture, or taking an action, right? Getting on a bus and going somewhere. So machine learning is learning from data, and it's different than the old rules-based system, and it's the one that will take over and become prevalent as we move forward.
Going back to what we were saying, you know, are we going to transhumanism? What do you think? What do you make of the Neuralink products, Elon Musk's company that connects brain with machine?
Yeah, thanks for that's a great question. But so transhumanism again has been a movement that's been around for decades, and now it's becoming to the public's attention. So what is it? It's basically means beyond human. Okay, so basically that just means augmenting our own intelligence and physical strength with basically digital machines. And so Neuralink's a part of that. It's an extra layer on our neocortex, which connects us directly to the internet and all the information. So we don't actually have to use a keyboard. So our, the basic interface is through thinking, not thinking and then, moving our fingers from the thinking. So yeah, that's another technology that's on an exponential curve. It'll definitely be a choice though, whether people want that or not. We're not going to be forced to have that. But you can see the advantages to that. But at the same time, I don't think I want to lose my own sense of who I am and my own humanity and my own consciousness. So I would be very wary of a tool like that. But maybe I would use it if it would help my research, as long as I could take it off at the end of the day. Maybe. I'm not sure. A lot of these things are quite uncertain.
We are talking about a tool anyway. It does. It needs to be considered as a tool, nothing more, probably. What do you think?
Yeah, agreed.
Right.
Agree. Yeah, definitely augmenting our intelligence rather than replacing us. Yeah, for sure. And just like we use a calculator, they're just far better at multiplying numbers. So we will use these things for doing certain types, perhaps helping us in scientific research, the AI assistants in the lab. That would be amazing.
What are some common misconceptions about artificial intelligence that you have encountered?
I think a lot of people, because of uncertainty, is proportional to fear, right? So there is a lot of fear around this, and rightly so, because how's the average guy in the street supposed to know about this stuff, right? And so that's probably the knee-jerk reaction, and I could see that leading to some problems unless it's managed properly by regulations and government, giving the right message to people. So the misconceptions may be around their capability at any given time. And so, that capability will increase, and we will hopefully stay in control of that as we move along the curve. So maybe that's a misconception, but I don't think there's really any others. I mean, but yeah, we have to manage the kind of fear factor, I think.
We're talking a couple of times during our conversation about rules, about the regulation that it's necessary probably to govern AI development. But what kind of regulation do you see? Because at the moment, for example, we have now in Europe a very controversial, law about, let's call it law, but anyway, constitution of the artificial intelligence, but we don't have one in America. And
Right.
do you see like a kind of international treaties, multilateral
Right.
commitments as the base for it? Because it's not about states; it's
Yeah.
about companies, small companies, most of the time. Is it possible to imagine something, like transnational about rules?
Yeah. No, there's different layers, aren't there? Society is a hierarchy of systems, starting off with the individual, going out to our local towns, and then cities, and then provinces, and countries. But then you have international, right? So I think regulations have to be at each of those levels, if done properly. Not too much, not too little. Don't want too much to stifle innovation, but you don't want too little so that the bad actors can just, download a super powerful model and make a bioweapon. That would be, ridiculous. So there has to be the right amount of regulation at each level. The ideal, right, would be universal, sort of all 200 nations get together and agree on principles that to govern the development of AI. But I mean, we've done that with nuclear weapons and bio. technology. But treaties are always made to be broken, and you just need a war somewhere, and then that country will drop out. So we have to also be realistic about how much regulation can really help us in the end. But certainly, it's needed, the right
Few
amount.
rules, but efficient ones. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take another aspect that's part of your job:
Mm.
artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and telecommunications are three things you
Yeah.
are a master of, isn't it? Because of your experience. And what is the connection? Can we expect joint developments?
Yeah, it's a good question because quantum computing is another new and emerging technology, perhaps not quite as far advanced as AI. I think AI is having its moment right now. Quantum computing might have to wait a few years. So the question is quantum computing going to be able to help us develop AI, and will it be used in telecommunications, for example, where will it be useful, where won't it? Well, there's a lot of work being done, theoretical work on where quantum computers can add speed up to a classical computer, and where it cannot, absolutely cannot. So where quantum computers are good at simulating physical systems at the atomic level, so new materials, that type of thing. But there's also quantum communications where you can have unhackable networks, that type of thing. So that's also a work in progress. So there's two things: quantum computing and quantum communication. And I just think we're a few years away from any practical application. There's a lot of R&D, a lot of experimental work going on, a little bit of venture capital, but nothing compared to AI. I mean, there's 100x venture capital. Say, for example, a billion might be put into quantum computing per year, whereas 100 billion will be put into AI. So my advice would be unless you're coming from a quantum physics background, to really focus on AI at the moment.
Okay, but it's not just vapor, but we need time to get into the quantum computing as a proper tool to help businesses. What's the main application? For example, let's take a telco business. What's the best thing that AI can do for telcos?
Yeah, so I gave a talk at the other day at the MEF summit here in London, and I went through some use cases. So really, I mean, telecoms is such a rich data set, right? So basically, the food of AI systems is data. They love data. So telecoms has abundance of data, and it's signaling, their call detail records, etc., etc., and also in the apps that are running on our mobile phones, on our laptops, right, at the end user device, at the end of the network. So it can help with optimizing networks. It can help with building apps, intelligent AI
Products.
first apps. And Microsoft and Google and Apple are all making these huge announcements about AI PCs and AI assistants and AI agents at the moment. So, this really is the year of AI. So yeah, it can be used definitely in telecom network, but also, in the apps that sit at the edge of the network as well, Ricardo.
Last questions. We ask the same question to every
Yeah.
host of this podcast. Let's say that you close your eyes for a few seconds and you reopen them uh, in the future,
Yeah.
10 years from now. What do you see without
Yeah.
thinking too much
Wow.
about that?
I see a lot of AI agents doing a lot of our work, personal assistance. So right now, I've got ChatGPT and I've got Gemini and I've got Claude on my phone, right? So I have AI apps on my phone now. These will just become more and more capable. So it'll be like that movie, Her. I mean, we'll talk to them whether or not they'll be actually sentient. It doesn't really matter if they can simulate sentience, right? For us, we won't really know the difference too much. So really, I just see AI embedded in every single thing. Our laptops, our smartphones, on the servers, on the data centers. Dell and NVIDIA just announced the AI factory, which is just AI throughout the data center. And so just more and more AI and everything, more and more artificial intelligence and everything, which can actually be an amazing thing. It introduces huge risks, but also huge benefit if we can use it for science and technology and making life better and education and healthcare. So yeah, I just think, we have an opportunity here as long as we put the right regulations in place and the right guardrails to really see a better future in 10 years.
Peter Morgan, founder and CEO of Deep Learning Partnership, specializing in large language model optimization, generative AI, and quantum technology. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Enjoyed it.
That's all for this episode of Perspective, the MEF podcast, where opinion makers, experts, and industry leaders talk about what they think, see, and expect in the world of technology, telecommunications, and innovative mobile services. Stay tuned. From Riccardo Amati, goodbye and good luck with your work.
Thanks for listening to Perspectives in Mobile. Join us next as we explore telecoms, technology, and mobile innovations. Stay tuned, stay connected, and let's unlock the mobile potential together.